This isn't just a quarterback competition. This is a franchise gut check, a culture cleanse, and maybe the most reckless act of confidence we've seen from an NFL front office in years. Let's back up. Because if you blinked sometime between OTAs and preseason week 3, you probably missed the moment the Cleveland Browns stopped pretending they were going to ease into a post-Flacco, post-chaos era with any shred of subtlety. Nope. Instead they went full scorched earth. Gone is the cushion of veteran linemen.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Gone is the illusion of a slow and steady QB competition. And gone, allegedly, is any shred of concern about what the locker room or the media might think. Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, has made his pick. His franchise quarterback isn't safe, he's protected. Not by linemen, ironically, but by job security, organizational ego, and a reshaped roster built around one thing: Shedeur Sanders. Yes, that's Shedeur Sanders. Son of Dillon. Social media icon. Nil King turned NFL rookie. And now, before he's even thrown a real NFL touchdown, the centerpiece of the Cleveland Browns' future. And listen, Shedeur's preseason hasn't exactly been a highlight reel. He's had flashes, sure, those crisp throws over the middle, the occasional scramble where he looks just slippery enough to make you believe. But he's also looked like a rookie. Raw footwork, some hesitation under pressure, and those slow reads that would make any fan start mumbling about development and clipboard years. So you'd think the Browns would be, I don't know, cautious? You'd be wrong. Because Andrew Berry didn't just believe in Shedeur. He committed war crimes on the depth chart to prove it. That offensive line? Gutted. Like a Black Friday sale at Best Buy. The front office didn't even try to hide the strategy. This wasn't about cap space or performance reviews. It was about sending a message. If you're not part of the Shedeur Sanders experiment, you're expendable. Period. And this is where things get messy. See, when a team drafts a flashy QB, we all expect a little PR dance. A few tweets. Maybe a leaked story about promise or grit. But Cleveland skipped the honeymoon and went straight to wedding vows. Kevin Stefanski, who just weeks ago seemed unsure whether Shedeur could even challenge Dillon Gabriel, has now flipped like a pancake at brunch. The same coach who was tiptoeing around QB depth charts is suddenly making statements about Shedeur's leadership and growth mindset. Growth mindset? Sir, he threw an interception off his back foot yesterday. But okay, let's be fair. Maybe Stefanski's seeing something we don't. Because insiders, those magical creatures who leak just enough to get your hopes up, say Shedeur's been cooking at practice. Footwork. Sharpened. Timing? Cleaner. Command of the huddle? Reportedly night and day compared to July. Even Dillon Gabriel, who had a strong camp of his own, is apparently lagging behind in decisiveness and touch. And you know how this goes. All it takes is one unnamed team source to call Shedeur the most NFL-ready QB on the roster, and suddenly everyone's rewriting their preseason predictions. But here's where things veer from promising rookie arc into NFL fever dream. The Browns aren't waiting. They're not letting things play out. They're pre-writing the narrative like it's a Netflix reboot. Shedeur isn't competing for the job anymore, he's being prepped for it. Quietly, surgically, and with no plan B in sight. That's why the line got nuked. That's why veterans are now being told in no uncertain terms, either you're here to protect Sanders or you're not here at all. One player allegedly walked out of the facility after being told he was out of sync with the new vision. Another, an offensive tackle who's been a starter for years, got released mid-practice week. Not even a performance issue. Just vibe check failed. This isn't just a roster shuffle. It's a hostile takeover by QB potential. And it's making the locker room tense. Imagine being Joe Flacco. You come in as the grizzled veteran, the steady hand, the emergency backup who actually wins a few games, and now you're being treated like a cardboard cutout in a quarterback car commercial. You might start week 1, but even that is starting to sound like a formality. A ceremonial placeholder until Shedeur takes over the keys. And fans? Well, they're spiraling. Half of Browns Twitter is screaming, trust the process, like it's 2016 Philly. The other half is absolutely losing their minds over Berry's lack of discipline. Even the local sports radio guys, normally content to play devil's advocate for a paycheck, are now throwing around words like reckless and premature. And they're not wrong. Because look, we've seen rookie QBs get thrown into the fire before. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you get a CJ Stroud moment and everything clicks. Other times, you get Zach Wilson. Or worse, a David Carr situation where your rookie becomes the sacrificial lamb behind a turnstile O-line and never recovers. The Browns are playing with fire. And they just threw away the fire extinguisher. Shedeur may have the tools. He may even have the locker room. But no one, has ever looked at a rookie QB and said, let's develop him by cutting everyone who protects him. It's giving vision board, no blueprint. And here's the twist of the knife. Dillon Gabriel didn't even play badly. By most reports he was more than serviceable. Accurate, mobile, calm under pressure. The kind of backup turn starter you could build around if you had to. But Gabriel doesn't come with the media magnetism. The Sanders brand. The possibility of a Cinderella story wrapped in Dillon DNA. So he's out. Not literally cut but culturally benched. Quietly exiled to the clipboard while Shedeur gets the royal treatment. And whether you think that's good strategy or a branding stunt gone rogue, it's happening. And now the stakes couldn't be higher. Because let's be real, if Shedeur flops? If he comes out in week 6 and throws 3 picks and trips over a blitz package? Kevin Stefanski's job is on the line. Andrew Berry's credibility? On fire. The entire locker room, already walking on eggshells, could fracture faster than a helmet under a blindside sack. But if he succeeds? If Shedeur Sanders rises above the noise, commands the field, and actually delivers the kind of leadership Berry is betting the farm on? Well, then this becomes one of the boldest, smartest, most visionary moves in modern NFL history. The kind of move that turns front offices into legends and players into icons. The kind of move that earns you Executive of the Year and a 10-episode docuseries. So here we are. The Browns have bet the house on a rookie who hasn't played a regular season snap. They've gutted their trenches, silenced their veterans, and rewritten the script mid-preseason. Not for a ring, not for a rebuild, but for belief. The question isn't, is Shedeur Sanders ready? The question is, can the Browns survive if he's not? Because right now, Cleveland isn't just riding with their new quarterback. They're fusing their future to him like a Marvel origin story. And whatever happens next, it's going to be loud, messy, and either career-making or career-ending. So buckle up. Shedeur's season is upon us. And if you've got thoughts, the comment section is your stadium. Drop your hot takes, your wild predictions, or your what is Berry smoking rants. And if you're living for the chaos like we are, hit that subscribe button, because this saga is just getting started. Next week, we might be handing out the boldest misfire of the year award, or the NFL prophet of the decade. Either way, you'll want front row seats. See you there. Alright, so if you're still with us and you haven't rage thrown your phone across the room or sprinted into the woods screaming about offensive line cohesion, let's dive even deeper into what this Shedeur Sanders experiment actually means for the Browns, for the league, and honestly, for every poor fan who's dared to believe this team might actually have a normal season for once. Because on paper, this should be the part of the story where we talk about patience, grooming, giving a rookie time to learn behind a seasoned vet. But Cleveland didn't just skip that chapter. They ripped it out of the playbook and set it on fire in a dumpster behind First Energy Stadium. And we have to talk about the audacity of it all. Like, remember the Browns of 2 seasons ago? The ones who tried to be methodical? The ones who talked endlessly about culture building and foundational pieces, and all those safe corporate buzzwords that sound like they came out of a LinkedIn coaching seminar? Yeah, forget that. That team is gone. That GM is gone, in spirit if not in name. Because this Andrew Berry? This version? He's in his, I just watched 10 hours of Deion Sanders YouTube clips and I'm ready to flip the NFL on its head era. And it's not just about believing in Shedeur. It's about reshaping the entire philosophy of the offense around him before he's even earned it. Like some kind of football prophecy. Like he's the chosen one, and the rest of the roster just needs to fall in line or get out of the way. What is this? Hogwarts? You don't cut your line and rebuild your offense for an unproven rookie unless you're either a genius or totally unhinged. And honestly, both might apply here. Because behind the chaos there's actually a method? Think about it. Shedeur Sanders isn't a traditional rookie. He's media-trained, fame-tested, and calm under pressure in a way most guys his age aren't. You grow up under Coach Prime and cameras and 24/7 scrutiny, you either learn how to own the moment or you break. And Shedeur? He owns the moment. He's poised in the pocket, even when the pocket is disintegrating like it currently is in Cleveland. He talks like a veteran, carries himself like a starter, and he's already got a built-in fan base that would make most rookies jealous. So from a branding perspective, this move is genius. A flashy new QB who the kids already know. A gutsy, high-drama roster shakeup. A franchise with nothing to lose and everything to prove. is giving Netflix docuseries. It's giving Amazon Hard Knocks reboot. It's giving content. But from a football perspective, it's like building a Tesla and then deciding the brakes are optional. Because here's what no one seems to want to say out loud. Shedeur might be ready. But is the rest of this team ready for him? It's not just about protecting him physically, it's about the psychological toll of being the guy before you've even had a chance to find your rhythm. You throw one pick? It's not just a mistake, it's a referendum. You take one sack? Twitter calls for the GM's head. You have one bad quarter? Suddenly it's told you so season. It's brutal. And you can already feel that tension bubbling under the surface. The locker room, especially among the veterans, is reportedly walking on eggshells. Not because they hate Shedeur, but because they've seen this movie before. The one where a golden boy gets the keys and the team is expected to rearrange its entire identity around him. That doesn't breed loyalty, it breeds resentment. And unless Shedeur delivers immediately, all that goodwill evaporates. You get whispers. You get eye rolls after practice. You get sideline shrugs during games. And before you know it, you've got a divided team and a quarterback under siege. The Browns say they're building for the long haul. That this is about vision, future, stability. But how stable can you be when the entire structure is held up by a 21-year-old with a target on his back and a fan base foaming at the mouth for results? Even Joe Flacco, who's been through every flavor of quarterback controversy, has to be watching this circus and thinking, man, I didn't sign up to be the warm-up act for a reality show. And poor Dillon Gabriel. Let's pour one out. Because in any other year on any other team, this kid would be a compelling story. Smart, efficient, mature. He's the guy you bring in when you want stability at the position. He's not flashy, but he gets it done. He wins. But next to Shedeur, he's toast. Not because he's worse, but because he's invisible, outbranded, outhyped, outshined before the race even started. And you know this is just the beginning. Wait until Sanders starts getting custom design plays. Wait until the team's media channels are flooded with highlights from practice and mic'd up segments and slow-mo passes with orchestral music underneath. Wait until ESPN starts running, "Is Shedeur the real deal?" segments before he's even played a full half of football. The Browns aren't just gambling on talent. They're gambling on a narrative. And the NFL? Oh, the league is watching. Closely. Because if this works, if Sanders lives up to the hype and the Browns suddenly go from punchline to playoff threat, every team with a flashy QB prospect is going to try the same thing. But if it fails? If Shedeur crashes, if the line collapses, if the locker room mutinies? This becomes the cautionary tale. The PowerPoint slide every GM shows their owner when they want to argue against overhauling the team around a rookie. This, they'll say, is what happens when you bet everything on a kid before he's ready. So now we wait. Week 1 is approaching fast. And while the Browns haven't officially named a starter, everyone knows what's coming. Flacco might take the first snap. But Shedeur's shadow is massive. One bad series and the crowd will start chanting. 1 3 and out and the headlines write themselves. And you know what's coming the first time Shedeur gets on the field. If it goes well, the place will erupt. The internet will break. Kevin Stefanski will do his best not to grin during the postgame. But if it goes poorly, if it's a pick six or a missed read or a strip sack that ends in a fumble, the chaos will be instantaneous. There's no warm-up lap here. No room for mistakes. No gentle arc to development. Just pressure. Spotlights. And a team that's already rearranged its identity to make space for a rookie with a crown that might be a little too heavy, for now. But hey, maybe he is the guy. Maybe Andrew Berry really did see something in those reps. Maybe the line doesn't need to be elite if Shedeur's release is fast enough. Maybe the chaos is the point. Maybe this is the new NFL. Big swings, bigger headlines, and quarterbacks as cultural brands, not just signal callers. Either way, the Browns aren't waiting to find out the old-fashioned way. They've already made their move. Shedeur isn't competing. He's arriving. And the rest of us? We're just watching, popcorn in hand, hoping we're not witnessing the NFL equivalent of giving a kid a Ferrari on his learner's permit. So strap in. This ride is going to be bumpy, brilliant, or both. All right. You're still here. That means one of two things. Either you're fully bought into the Shedeur Ascension saga and you've already ordered your custom Browns jersey with QB1 stitched across the back in bold, or you hate watching this entire thing like a rubbernecker at a multi-car pileup. Either way, you can't look away. Because whether you're sipping the Kool-Aid or slapping it out of people's hands, this whole Shedeur over Gabriel O-line cleanse, trust the rookie gambit isn't just a storyline anymore. It's a full-blown NFL case study in ego. And yes, by ego, we're talking Barry, Stefanski. And honestly, maybe a little bit of Dillon by proxy too. Because make no mistake, Deion Sanders might not be in Cleveland, but his aura absolutely is. Every time Shedeur walks into a room, every time he sits down at a mic with that cool, measured tone, you can feel it. That primetime DNA. That unwavering self-belief. That swagger that says, I don't care what your depth chart says, I'm here now. And listen, normally, that's fine. Encouraged even. Quarterbacks need that delusion. You don't walk into an NFL huddle at 22 years old and command the respect of grown men without a little unearned confidence. But here's the thing no one's talking about. This isn't just Shedeur betting on himself. It's the Browns betting everything on the idea that swagger beats structure. That belief can outmaneuver experience. That vibes can carry a franchise. Which, honestly, is so on brand for Cleveland it almost feels poetic. You have to laugh, right? The team that spent decades stuck in quarterback purgatory, cycling through draft busts, free agency flops, and one very infamous massage scandal, has now turned around and handed the keys to a rookie before he's even asked for the AUX cord. Forget slow development. Forget offensive line chemistry. The Browns front office just went full main character syndrome and cast Shedeur Sanders in the role of savior, supporting cast optional. But it's more than just a bold football decision. It's a rebranding campaign. They're not just building around a quarterback. They're building around an identity. One that's flashier, younger, more media-friendly. And honestly, one that feels a little allergic to accountability. Because if Shedeur isn't the answer, then what? What's left of this team after you cut its veterans, restructure its offense, and emotionally commit to a guy who's never taken a meaningful NFL snap? Who do you turn to if the miracle you banked your season on decides to be a 21-year-old with a learning curve? You can't go back to Gabriel. That ship has been publicly lit on fire and shoved out to sea. You can't lean on Flacco. He's a band-aid from last season and the locker room knows it. You can't even count on the coaching staff to hold the line, because they just co-signed the gamble. Stefanski can't blame the front office when it all goes sideways. He's in this now, all the way in. And oh man, the optics if this thing crashes and burns? The memes alone. Imagine, a 3-14 finish, Shedeur benched by week 9, locker room revolt, Stefanski gone by Black Monday, and Barry sitting in a press conference trying to explain why he dismantled an entire offense to put a rookie on a pedestal. Imagine the ESPN montages. The cold, slow-motion cuts of Shedeur's preseason highlights, followed by real game clips of sacks, fumbles, missed reads. All while a dramatic narrator whispers, "It was never supposed to end like this." But if it works, if Shedeur delivers on the promise, this becomes the NFL's newest blueprint. Teams stop waiting. They stop developing. They lean all the way into the marketing potential of young, polished quarterbacks with built-in social followings. You think Caleb Williams is already a star? Wait until every team starts treating rookies like franchise messiahs from the jump. Training camp documentaries. NFT drops. Personalized cleats before preseason week 1. We'll all be living in Shedeur world. And here's the weirdest part. Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for any of this. Sure, he's confident. Sure, he's got that Sanders sparkle. But he's not out here demanding to be handed a franchise. He's just playing ball. Showing up. Learning. Growing. The drama? That's all Cleveland. This entire storm was stirred up around him. By execs desperate to finally get one quarterback decision right. By coaches who are trying to survive long enough to say, "See? I trusted him before anyone else." By analysts and fans and media echo chambers who live for the next shiny thing. Shedeur might be wearing the crown, but everyone else made the throne. And if you listen closely, you can already hear the clock ticking. Not just on Shedeur, on the whole regime. Because this decision wasn't quiet. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't couched in "we're exploring options" language. It was loud. It was clear. It was public. And those kinds of declarations come with deadlines. If Shedeur doesn't take over by mid-season, the questions begin. If he's starting by week 6 and still looks inconsistent by week 10, the whispers turn to shouting. And if the Browns miss the playoffs again while building their identity around a quarterback still finding his NFL footing, heads will roll. Maybe Barry's. Maybe Stefanski's. Maybe both. And then what becomes of Shedeur? He's not the villain here. He didn't ask to leapfrog Gabriel. He didn't ask for the offensive line sacrifice. But he'll wear the failure if this doesn't work. That's the cruel thing about being the face of the franchise before you've earned it. You get all the blame, none of the control. So now we watch. Week 1. Snap count. Sideline body language. Who's laughing? Who's tense? Who's getting pulled for equipment issues that are really just coach lost patience? Every incomplete pass is going to be magnified. Every touchdown will be glorified. Every decision, every glance from Stefanski, will be interpreted like it's the final scene of an HBO miniseries. Because this isn't just football anymore. This is theater. This is drama. This is the Browns putting on the boldest act in the league right now, hoping the curtain doesn't fall before they've even hit intermission. So whether you're a Shedeur believer, a Cleveland skeptic, or just someone who can't resist a good old-fashioned football flameout, you're in the right place. Because one way or another, this story ends with someone walking off the field in slow motion. Victorious, or infamous,